What's up again, my friends? How y'all doing today? I think it's like the 29th of April 2017 or some shit like that. I wanted to come out here and make a video about nuclear war. Just to come right outright with it, you know, and not in a negative connotation, and I'm not here to doomsay or anything like that. But I do think it's a situation that it warrants a discussion, and I've made upwards of 4,000 videos probably for YouTube, and I've never once that I can remember talked about nuclear war. You know, I've talked about nuclear power and nuclear energy, and I've definitely given my opinion on that situation, but I'm not going to weigh in on that aspect of it right now, nor am I going to get too wrapped up in the what-ifs. I'm specifically talking about the threat that we have right now, or the potential for a threat of nuclear annihilation, and how much should we be concerned, if at all. Now, I'd start off by saying I'm not concerned. I'm not worried. I don't worry about being blown up by a nuke or radioactive fallout. It's not worth worrying about. It's unnecessary fear. If the shit happens, I'll be fucking scrambling, get my shit out of here. You know, if a bomb hits in Portland, yeah, I'm gone. I mean, I'll be doing my best to escape, you know, nuclear fallout, and I've even considered where to go and which way the prevailing winds. But it's kind of silly, as an American citizen living on the West Coast, should I be fearful of such things? You know, I don't know. Of course not. I wouldn't think that you would be, but there are people out there who have been afraid of nuclear war, and our parents in their generation, my parents, because depending on your age, I mean, I might be your parents' age, or I could be your kid's age. So, my parents, ones who grew up in the 60s, you know, that fear of nuclear war was very real, and it was a hair trigger, you know, the U.S. and Russia, and there was a lot of bullshit in there. There were a lot of politics. It was an excuse to keep us in a state of perpetual conflict in order to continue making weapons, and sure, there was a lot going on behind closed doors. But all that aside, the nuclear weapons do exist, and they have existed for a long time, and now, in recent years, we've kind of forgot how crucial being aware of these things are. In other words, I've said, hey, I don't fear nuclear war. I mean, you know, I think that everyone knows it's a mutually assured destruction. But I'll make sure the camera's going. Yeah. It would be a mutually assured destruction, and that's what they called it, MAD. But that was during a time when there were two large countries, the U.S. and the Soviet Union, that both wanted to thrive and continue to thrive, and destroying each other wouldn't serve any purpose, and we were equally armed. Let's talk about North Korea for a minute. Someone like that doesn't give a shit, you know, if they get annihilated. If they get struck, then they're going to strike back instantly. And North Korea has been kind of a joke for a lot of people, in the sense that, look at them, you know, they're this oppressive regime in this little area. They don't really have much power. They can't even get a nuke right, and they keep having failures of rockets. Well, there's only one way to success, and that's to try and try again. And I think that if you're not taking North Korea seriously, you're not understanding the implications of what they really have. You know, a recent study said that we believed that they might have up to 12 nukes, but a week later they said there might be up to 24 or more, because they may have 2 enrichment facilities, but we just don't know. The point isn't really how many nukes they have, though, and that doesn't even include all the standard artillery that they have. And right now, the question most people in America ask is, well, do they have a missile capable of reaching our country, and if they don't, fuck them. Well, there are, I think, 30,000 Americans living in South Korea right now, which are right within the zone of attack, and North Korea would smother South Korea in a heartbeat, and there would be no way to stop that. But they're also within striking distance of Japan, where we have many bases. But still, Americans would say, you know, they don't have anything that could hit here. Well, they've been working on a 3-stage rocket that could reach the West Coast. We just don't know if they have them or not. The question of whether we have the artillery to shoot it down, you know, we don't know what weaponry our own government really has. We don't know what kind of defenses have been hidden away. The whole Star Wars program in the 80s may have turned into something much more functional. I mean, there are laser systems that will annihilate, warheads, but we're forgetting something. That once a nuke flies, it's going to change everything. It's going to change the face of the earth, the way that we think, the way we behave. The system that we have in place right now is very delicate. I mean, it's, and when I say system, I'm talking about all the nations and the tentative relationships that we have with one another, It was funny because the other day was the first time that I've really read an article, and it actually kind of hit me like, what? Wait, whoa, there's actually a potential here for annihilation. It may very well be that Korea is the biggest threat right now in the world to us. However, here's the thing, if even today, even if they have some failed rockets and they're not able to make it, the prediction is that by the year 2025 to 2030, we'll probably have at least 10 to 20 intercontinental ballistic missiles ready to go, the drop of a dime. And every year, this fucked up nation continues to build its arsenal. And as an American citizen, I know how America has oppressed people. I know how we have stuck our nose into other people's business for a long time, and that's caused a lot of American hatred. I mean, when you have more than one country who wakes up in the morning and sings, death to America, basically, which North Korea has their own agenda, and it's propaganda, they control the airwaves, they control everything of what their people see. And for those who are unaware of this, North Koreans are actually smaller in stature than South Koreans, because over the past 2 generations, since North and South Korea split, they have been so malnourished in the North that overall they're actually smaller. They're evolving to deal with less food, and that's because of their oppressive government. And some of the people even leave the country and go work in shipyards and places in other countries, and all of that money is sent back to the government in North Korea. And those people only get just enough to live on, like room and board, basically, and no pay. And when asked about it, they say, it's for the great leader. And that's kind of where we're at, seeing leaders as gods. And I see so many relations between a guy like Kim Jong-il or Kim Jong-un. Un is much worse than Il was. It seems like he just doesn't have any desire to communicate. But who knows? All we know is what we've heard. But he's, he reminds me of, he's the epitome of who we have leading our country right now. Donald Trump is an egomaniacal abomination of a man. I'm not getting into the politics of it right now because that's not, I don't want to argue about if you're a Trump supporter. That's not what this is about. This is just about all of our equal, the way we're all equally affected by ignorant rulers that really don't know what's going on in the big picture, and even if they do, they don't seem to care. But these are people who are taking positions of power that are supposed to be revered and respected. Leaders always have to be respected. But we've seemed to let that go. We seem to not care anymore. We seem to be willing to look past a whole bunch of flaws. Even with Donald Trump, when some of his supporters would say, well, yeah, he did these things, but still, he's a good businessman. I say that there have to be a lot more aspects that I like about a person before I want him to lead an entire country of 1/3 of a billion people. But I've been already, my anticipation of what would happen in the first 100 days is exactly what has happened. And so, am I justified in believing the things I did politically about Trump? Maybe, maybe not. Sorry to get into that. I was just thinking about the comparisons between him and Kim, in the way that he's actually said that he respects Kim in the sense that he can keep his people in line. And he said that a few times. Trump is the kind of guy who, if he had his rights, he would shut down all the media and everybody would listen to him tweet, and that would be how we get our information. That's the kind of guy he is. He sits around and watches cable news to get his information. I mean, this guy is garbage in my eyes. He's not a man at all, you know. He's just a guy who made a lot of money because he has a name. And to me, that says that that's exactly what Kim is. He's just a little boy who grew up with daddy being a leader and knowing that the people would revere him as a god. And the more respect that you have, the more people that you have who respect you, or at least you think respect you, the more likely you are to think that your decisions are the best decisions. And this is how we get crazy leaders with nuclear arsenals, where on one hand just want to defend themselves, but on the other hand wouldn't mind, devastating anybody else who wants to even try to mess with their rights to do something. You know, it's an iffy area when it comes to nuclear power and nuclear weapons, because who are we to say others shouldn't have them? I don't know. That's a tough one. I won't get into the world police bullshit because that's just for another video altogether. But, is nuclear war a threat? I wouldn't say maybe nuclear annihilation is, but I don't think that it's like I think it hopefully could be stopped before it got too far, because I think most people are conscious enough, and most leaders are conscious enough not to just launch their nukes when something happens. But I wouldn't put it past them. It seems like every government in this whole world is corrupt, and every single leader and every single, cabinet and group, they're all out for themselves. And they say for the people. I just don't believe it. It seems like keeping the people divided in fear, keeping them afraid of a nuclear annihilation or a terrorist attack, in order to justify weaponry that is so beyond anything we would ever really need in the world. But humans, we're crazy fucked up creatures. So take it easy, everybody, and have a wonderful day, and watch out for nukes.